Chapter 5. Simmering. The world is ending, so it doesn't matter if we survive a few more years or just a few more days, unless we have a plan to get out. Circa 6 days, 27 hours since the assassination of rebel leadership. Uchantu stalked through the halls of Wolfden toward her room, too tired and annoyed to wonder why Irena had been so short with her lately. Maybe she's also pissed at Karuxi and just decided to take it out on me. One more thing I get to do for him while Estingai's gone. It had only been a half day since Estingai had stalked off with Kozasana after arguing with Karuxi and Maryatla, and Uchantu was already worried about her. And Karuxi. At the moment, however, she was far more annoyed than worried. She pushed the curtain out of the way, marching into the main sitting room and toward their bunks, ready to chew Karuxi out, when she stopped dead, cheeks bursting into flame. "What in darkness are you doing?" she asked, trying to sound annoyed instead of like a mother reprimanding a child. Karuxi stopped kissing Odono, a tall Natari man. Adina, a gorgeous Samyati woman, stopped biting at Karuxi's neck. Karuxi shot Uchantu a flat look, though Odono jumped. Adina smirked, and Uchantu blushed even harder, despite herself. The blankets covered most of Karuxi and Odono, but not a lot of Adina. "If you need me to explain that, I think we've got bigger issues," Karuxi said. He'd found some violet sage to smoke, likely sharing it with the other two. His tone would have given him away, if the smell hadn't already. Uchantu sighed, trying not to resent her friend. "Out," she said, flicking a hand over her shoulder. "Get dressed and try to get the smell off before Maryatla or Aiden find out." Uchantu nearly brightened her gem crest to push them apart with hard light as Karuxi's two companions looked at each other, then Karuxi, waiting for him to roll his eyes and nod before getting out of his bed and dressing. Uchantu specifically did not look at either of them, no matter how absurdly long Adina took to put her clothes back on, or how nice her back was. Both waved goodbye as they went, with Adina smiling again at Uchantu before she slipped out. Karuxi snapped at her about 3 seconds after their footsteps disappeared down the hall. "You couldn't have come back later." He hadn't dressed yet, still lounging on his pallet with the blankets bunched around his waist. "It smells like you already finished." "We were about to go again." Uchantu put her hands on her hips. "Not my problem. You need to get dressed and sober up. What in darkness do you think you're doing wasting resources like this? Not to mention sleeping around while Maryatla and Aiden and I are getting crushed by the amount of work it takes to keep this place running. Her organizational systems and his sense of logistics are all that's kept us functioning, and they need more help." "Back off," Karuxi said, letting the blanket fall as he rose from the pallet. Uchantu didn't look away. She and Karuxi had seen each other naked enough times that it didn't bother either of them. She just glared at him, hoping he could feel it. "You're shutting down," she said. "Smoking violet sage isn't just wasting resources for you. It's an abuse of power. I don't care when you use it to get people to open up, but using it like this? What are you thinking?" Karuxi threw her a flat look as he pulled up his pants. "You're just jealous because you're pent up and haven't been able to unwind." Ushantu's face went hot again. Low blow. He just shrugged. Uchantu stalked over to him and grabbed a fistful of his undershirt even as he put it on. "We don't have time to unwind. Brighten gray and sober up." Karuxi met her gaze and held it for a moment, then sighed, and Uchantu glanced at his brow as the light from his gray nodes shone just a bit brighter. She released his shirt. "Thank you." He shrugged. "We don't have any time to waste, Karuxi," she said as he shrugged into his armored jacket. "The people that have stepped into leadership roles in other factions, some of them are listening, but others aren't. A few of them are even questioning Estingai's role in the former leader's deaths. Everyone here is on edge, wondering what's coming next. I know." he said, sitting back down on his bunk, fully dressed except for his boots. He started pulling those on. I was talking about that with Adina and Odono, and a few others, trying to reassure them. Uchantu snorted, shaking her head. That's what you're calling it now? Karuxi rolled his eyes and started lacing up one boot. Even Mariatla and Aiden are fighting about how to do things, Uchantu continued. They need someone to help them out until Estingai stops being so stubborn. Uchantu took a deep breath, rubbing her fingers on her brow. Svemaku always stop. Uchantu blinked, looking to Karuxi as he shot up from his bunk, golden eyes blazing. You, of all people, should know I'm not my brother. Uchantu set her jaw, not moving an inch. I wasn't saying you were. I was just saying I wish he was here. He would know how to handle this mess. Karuxi glared at her for a moment, then sat back down on the bunk. So do I. But he's not, and I'm not his replacement. Uchantu sighed, glancing over at the little alcove Estingai had shared with Svemaku. Svemaku's trunk was untouched, and the bed barely looked slept in. She knew Estingai hadn't spent the night here since she'd returned alone. Has she slept at all? She could worry about Estingai later. For now, she turned her attention back to Karuxi. Uchantu's friend had finished lacing up his boots and was angrily strapping on his harnesses. She didn't know what to say. For a while, she just stood there as he sat busying himself with his uniform and his weapons. I just meant, she began after a while. We've lost Raima and Svemaku and your parents and so many others. We can't let that be for nothing. I don't know what to do about it yet, but for now, she sighed. For now, I just need help keeping everyone else going while we figure out what to do. There's just so much work. Karuxi frowned at his boots for a moment, then looked up at her. He nodded, then stood and gathered her into a hug. Sorry for being a dick. Uchantu grinned. You're always a dick. Karuxi let her go, stepping back. And now I'm a dick who isn't helping you anymore. Uchantu frowned. Ugh, fine. She cut off as Karuxi tensed, hurried footsteps echoing down the stone hall moments later. Mariatla and Sulumwe burst through the curtains. The scout was panting, uniform dark with sweat, gemcrest dim. Wait, wasn't he... Uchantu looked to Karuxi, wide-eyed. He looked back to Mariatla. Where's Estingai? Last I saw her, she was fighting at Lightforged. Sulumwe breathed, voice ragged. Uchantu's stomach tightened. Lock down the base, Karuxi said. Go help Aiden. He turned to Uchantu. You're with me. Main entrance. I'll get the gem braces.